Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start the recording. Let me go ahead and turn off our background jazz music. So I wanna thank everyone for joining us. Obviously, we will get a few more people to join while I'm just introducing a few things. I'm sharing the community website, so I assume all of you are aware of that website. I'm going to share that in the chat. I'm not sure if all of you are aware of our marketing events. So if you click on resources under marketing, there are different marketing events, and the CAE community website has been, under the leadership of Tony Carlson from California.
San Bernardino.
San Bernardino is updating, thank you, Anne, is updating the website. They've been going through a process. Also, maybe some of you are not aware of the YouTube channel. This is where we're gonna host all of our recorded sessions that we're doing with this event. So I share those links in the chat, and this is gonna be recorded. I wanna introduce everyone to this community of practice. First of all, what we have started is back in October of last year during the pandemic. We, under the leadership of Tony, decided to kick off this community events and different initiatives. And at the time, Anne and I decided to lead. We got tapped on to lead this community of practice event where we formed a steering committee for the community. As you're aware, the CAE-CD community has a very large group of over 300 schools. And so we decided to kick off a smaller group that we can make decisions and also help us coordinate and serve as ambassadors with the larger community. So we're going to be spinning off different initiatives. Some of the people in our steering committee, we have about 27 people who are well experienced for many years in the CAE community who are part of that steering committee. And that steering committee spins off different activities, such as the one that we're kicking off today. So Gretchen and Sandra are co-chairing this initiative, and they will be talking shortly. And I need to apologize because Sandra could not have made it, and I think Gretchen will mention this shortly. I just want to say a few words and just introduce the community of practice idea. So what we've noticed is that over the years, those of you who've been in the CAE community, we've been meeting in either regional events or during our yearly symposium. Sometimes we may miss, some of you may miss the yearly symposium. And so we wanted to create other activities to get the community to interact. And one of the great idea that came out of our quarterly meeting with the our steering committee is to do this particular event. And the idea behind this event is obviously to get to know each other, right? So we introduce each other and we get to connect with people that we want to connect, because just waiting for a once a year event or in a regional event, that may be challenging. Also, time is an issue. Sometimes we can or cannot attend, etc. So the community of practice for the cyber defense group, and by the way, there are two other community of practices. Those of you who are also in the CO group, there is a community of practice formed for that. And then there is a community of practice formed for the R designated schools, and they're spinning off their own ideas for initiatives. And you should, if you're a part of those groups, you should hear from them. I want to just spend a short, quick note and hand it over to Anne, who's co-chairing the community of practice with me, to say a few words of thanks to the individuals who are helping us. But I want to first say thank you for Tony and his team, especially Amy, for helping us coordinate different events and putting our event on the schedule and communicating this with the larger community. And of course, those of you who know, all of you should know, right? The program office, Karen and Lori, and of course, Lynn and everyone else, and Alice and others in the program office. We are very fortunate to work with an amazing group of people in the program office. So our role as the leads for this community of practice for the cyber defense for the CD is actually to be a buffer or serve as a intermediary. So if you have issues or you want to, there are things that you would like to propose for the community to do at large, please, by all means, you have my information and contact on the web. I'm gonna just type my pronunciation of my name is Yair, so Yair. If you wonder how to pronounce my name, feel free to use that, and I typed that into the chat area, so you're welcome to follow up. But I'm very easygoing guy. With that said, I'm going to hand it over to my partner in crime on this group, and Kohnke is going to say a few words of thanks and introduction. And I want to thank her for the amazing work she's done with me on the group for the requirements for the CD that we have worked on for many months before, but now with leading this community of practice. With that, Anne, go ahead.
Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to work with you. You are, I'll tell you, I'd like to know the vitamins you take. I don't know how you do get everything you get done. It's absolutely astonishing. But thank you. It's a pleasure to work with you. I also want to thank the steering committee, the meetings that we have had each quarterly, the ideas, the robust conversation. I'm the meeting minute taker, so I just couldn't type fast enough, and the ideas have really been outstanding. And this, like the example of today's presentation, and every single month after this, Yair took the ball and ran with it and put together this whole draft, and we worked on this to come up with this monthly idea of get to know your fellow CAEs, which is really good because that was made by many people that we really don't know in depth as to who is doing what, and this also opens up an channels that if you wanted to know what other people are doing research-wise and want to connect with them, or hiring, or subject matter expertise, or course development, this is a way to get to know what other schools are doing, so that whatever you're working on, you can connect to people who would be very relevant to what you're doing. I also want to thank Gretchen, Bliss. Boy, have you really stepped up to the plate. You've done so much work on this. It's outstanding. Your attention to detail is absolutely fantastic. I want to tell you, it's just been a pleasure. I read everything. I don't respond to necessarily every email because, oh my goodness, that's all I would be doing. I can't get over how much work you have put into this, as well as Sandra. I'm sorry that Sandra is not with us today. Gretchen, Bliss is from the University of Colorado at Colorado Springs. I'm from the University of Detroit, Mercy in Detroit, Michigan, where we got a nice rainstorm, I understand. Power's been knocked out all over, but I can't complain because Yair is in Fort Lauderdale. Actually, you're with me now here in Baltimore, but hometown is Florida, and that's always kind of dicey. So anyway, I will turn it over. Thank you, Gretchen. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you both very much, Yair and Anne. Your leadership has really inspired all of us. And if those of you that don't know me, yes, I'm from the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs. We're down here in Southern Colorado, and we are also the hub lead for the Northwest Hub. So this was one of those initiatives I really wanted to do locally, but you guys were able to take it nationally. And I think that's going to be really exciting moving forward. And yeah, Sandra sends her regrets. She will join us next time for sure. But I wanted to just share with you a little bit about what our purpose and kind of what we're looking at doing. Our UCCS has only been a CAE since 2012. I know many of you have been CAEs much longer than that. So having access to this group is really something that we value. Our CAE is currently in engineering, but we have programs in business, letters, arts, and sciences, and our School of Public Affairs that hopefully at some point will be a POS on our CAE designation. So as we all know, this thing called cyber is growing, right? It's expanding, and we're trying to connect more, both on the national level and international level. So when we came up with this idea, we wanted to really kind of cross connect in so many different ways, as Dan's mentioned. So the goal of our sessions is that each month we'll have 4 schools present. I'm sure many of you have heard from me trying to get the schedule right. We're currently booked all the way through next July. So if you do sign up, we would love to have you present, but just know that you're gonna have to pick a date sometime next year. And so I'm just working to coordinate that, but we're gonna give you guys each about 10 minutes to present on your program. And then we're gonna do some conversations, right? Connections, as Ann mentioned, trying to dig in a little deeper, get a little more connection. So what we thought we would use as a guideline for the discussions, we're going to have kind of a set slide deck that we're testing out today. Thank you to Sid and Toby very much for helping us work through that. We were thinking that you could talk about either a program or a course that you've offered for a while and you want to share the success with the group. You can either talk about a student program or a student team or a competition or an event that you'd like to share that you do at your CAE, or you can also talk about a research or a grant project that you're working on or looking for schools to work with, right? We had a sub meeting, I know, in the Northwest when all those RFPs come out and figure out what kind of teams can we generate. And so I think this is going to be another great way to do that. It can also be about a new program that you want to offer and that you want to discuss with the group, get their input, get recommendations, or ask for help. You know, a lot of times we get stuck sometimes putting this stuff together, and we've got this huge brain trust in the CA community that you can use to discuss and focus and get lessons learned and best practices from the group. So to sum it up, these sessions are ours and ours to define and develop with a small amount of structure, so we can help each other learn, share information, and get to know each other. So I would just like to introduce our guest speakers today. Tobi West from Coastline Community College. Many of us know her. She does amazing things out there. And Sid Kaza at Towson as well, doing amazing things. We've heard about a lot of the stuff that they've been doing in some of our CAE meetings. So what I'd like to do is, Tobi, if you would like to start. As I mentioned, we're going to do about 10 minutes and then have 5 or 6 minutes for discussions and questions. And then Sid will move on to yours, and then we'll come back together for a group discussion with any questions or announcements that you may have at the end. So Tobi, over to you.
Thanks. Okay to share my screen? Oh, yeah, I guess so. Let's see if I can get PowerPoint in full screen mode. Sorry, 1 second. Did that work? Oh, good. So hi, everyone. I'm Tobi West from Coastline College in Southern California, Garden Grove specifically. We're about 4 miles from Disneyland, so a little bit of competition, a few miles from the beach, little competition for students to attend classes. We do have a cyber center, so I've included the cyber center website, and we've been a CAE since 2014. That was under Dr. Nancy Jones. If any of you know her, I would assume many of you do. She has since retired, but at least she helped me get through the renewal in 2019. And so we are very proud to be a CAE and very happy to be part of the community, of course. We have our own seal for our CAE as well. There's our picture, if you remember Nancy, Diane Janicek. I was so happy that she was there in person. So we beat the clock on the pandemic and got to have our in-person redesignation. Our program is an Associate of Science in Cybersecurity. It previously was computer networking, cybersecurity. So I transitioned that when I came to Coastline, and I'm just really trying to change the landscape of all of the program and curriculum that we had. It took quite a bit of a lift, and I was concerned how that would impact the CAE, but I think we're all still in place, so that's great. We have currently 297 students in the major. We have about 1,000, sometimes about 1,500 enrolled across all of the classes in the major, including some computer networking as well. And that includes active duty military and spouses. So we do have a special program for contract education that allows for that. So even though we're located in California, our students are online and they may be anywhere in the world at any point, and we have to be very aware of their situation if they get deployed. So it's a little bit different than the traditional, 9 to 5 students coming in the classroom. Most of our classes that are not online are also at night. So they're the 6 to 10 p.m. And most of our events are on Friday nights and Saturdays so that we can accommodate traffic and other things, because there's a significant amount of traffic in our area. Even now that everyone's not back to work, it's already like that. Our focus is the technical support specialist, and then under CyberSeek, the cybersecurity specialist / technician. Some of my personal subject matter expertise related to Coastline and the events that I do are the K-12 outreach. So you may have heard of Cyber Tech Girls. Gretchen's been very kind to promote that often. Even if I'm not there, sometimes it gets mentioned. That's a one-day event for girls, and we might do hardware, we might do a mock crime scene to go over digital forensics, chain of custody. We do a variety of different things, but I think the big thing is that it is a one-day, no commitment for the students, no cost for the students. So it's like a mini Gen Cyber Camp essentially. And we bring in a lot of mentors. So we did one Leap Day right before the pandemic, and we had over 50 girls, but we had 18 mentors, female mentors that are working in technology roles, and they come and they talk with the girls, and they get to see this diverse group of role models, as opposed to just one type of role model in one gender or one age range. I had a very broad age range, even some that were retired. So it's very fantastic to run those events. I do them about once a year, but I've also done them in San Bernardino area near Tony's, CSU. And I've also done it in Las Vegas to help out when other schools need kind of a kickstart on how they would run these types of events. I've hosted a Gen Cyber Camp, and I have 2 this summer, so quite a bit going on with a teacher camp and a girls camp. And then I kicked off the original CyberPatriot at Coastline, where it was my first year, and I had 125 kids from across the county, and not really knowing, how does this work? What am I doing with it? And it really turned into something from there, where we offered every month a free training and competition for the kids, and purchased tons of laptops and all sorts of things to get them going. And that was because I went to Cal Poly Pomona. Dan Manson, if any of you know him, he was hosting this for Los Angeles Unified School District. So I basically mimicked what he had done. And that's what I'm very grateful for about the community, because there's always something that we can gain from others and how they're doing an approach in their area. So I've benefited from that quite a bit. I enjoy course content development and curriculum development. I'm joining the curriculum committee this year. I've been really busy in past years and kind of avoided it, or they didn't have an opening when I wanted to join, but that's where I'm headed right now. So one of the questions for this slide deck was, what's your next possible program of study? And I'm really hopeful that this turns into something for our digital forensics and incident response. As you can see, we only have 6 students in the major, but it was added to the catalog on the addendum of the catalog last year. So it was a little bit hidden for quite some time. And now it's in the main catalog and easy for students to find. I did transition away from the computer service technology program that I mentioned earlier and started a program called cybersecurity. I included the core courses from the AS in cybersecurity that are already aligned with the KUs for the CAE, included those in this program. Obviously, students still need security and all of those things as the baseline for forensics and incident response anyway. And so I've included some links here in case these do get shared, and obviously just ask me. I'm happy to share about our program anyway. And I'm excited that 4 of the 5 new courses have been already added onto our last spring schedule. So we've offered them, we've seen growth in the program, and many of them already had master's degrees, and they were so excited about the classes because they said they didn't get the technical and hands-on that they wanted in the master's program. So they were really happy to see this. And then one of the classes is called cybercrime. So a lot of students were excited to learn about cybercrime as well. Tons more information on the ATE site there. And then this is a link to the video if you want to get a true update about everything we're doing in that program. So my I wanted to share that my research projects include my dissertation. So I'm working on a data privacy and third-party data sharing. So I think that those are really critical direction that we're going to be going in the years to come as well. So I have written some classes that we haven't scheduled yet at Coastline, but I think that that'll be really fun to do. So I wanted to share that the reason that I'm going to Dakota State is because Wayne Pauli came to Coastline when we were a CRRC, and they shared about the program that I wouldn't have even known was coming up because they were still in the works getting Board of Regents approval. So these meetings are very important. As Yair mentioned, we learn a lot from each other and find out things that we might not have known otherwise. All of my schools were also CAEs that I attended, and that's how I got the job at Coastline, because of attending a CAE. So very exciting stuff. My grant-funded research is that cybersecurity curriculum for two-year colleges, the forensics that I mentioned under NSF. So that one is great to me, and it's coming to an end, so I'll have some more open time after that dissertation. So Coastline's specialties, really our format and focus is on adult learners. That reskilling and upskilling type of student is looking for something new to do. So that is a specific target, I think, compared to the transfer students. As our CyberPatriot program I mentioned started just a few years ago, those students are starting to come. So our demographic is changing significantly now as a result of all of that effort we put into CyberPatriot and that intentional pathway flow. Very nice to see, and it takes a while to see it, but it's happening. Some of the things we've done, our cybersecurity apprenticeship has sunsetted in the grant. Our state chancellor's office gave us $1 million to fund that originally, and it is state and federal approved already. And even though the grant funding sunsetted, we're using other federal dollars to still go after that and keep it up, but with a smaller group of students. Originally, we had a target that we had to have 50 at the minimum, and now we're looking at 6 to 8 per year. We are doing Comptia exam voucher program. I don't know if anybody has done this. I haven't heard from anybody across the state doing this, but yes. So our vouchers are funded by Perkins funding, and it's been interesting. Some students don't even want to take the exam, and then we have some students that are enrolled in multiple Comptia based classes, so then they can't take all 3 or 4 exams at once. But we had a really big group finish the Cybersecurity Analyst Plus, about 18 passed the exam. I was very impressed. That instructor did a fantastic job. And then I had a couple that passed both Network Plus and Security Plus back to back within a couple weeks of each other. So very fun. Our student club is Exploit. We've had some fantastic outcomes from Exploit. We had a real estate agent transition to become a security personnel for IBM. We had one move to that didn't even want to come to school. He was just excited about the club, started taking some classes with us, and moved to Ireland to work for Google, working on cloud architecture. And another is a programmer that works for Mint Mobile. So very fun stuff. And our usual event of the year is CyberTech Expo. This is something we do every October, and it's sort of our open house for the community. Let everyone come, not only students. And I think it's another good pathway, for people to find out about cybersecurity and find out about Coastline, because we are, even in our area, we're not very well known because of being online, and then having a giant sister college that's right down the street with dorms and everything. We do have a variety of academies. I fortunately don't have to oversee all of these. Dr. Brandon Brown does, and I'm very happy about that because I don't have time for all of those academies. This gives you an idea of why I don't have time for all of those academies. I have as I mentioned, the teachers camp, the girls camp, the DFIR NSF grant. I'm also working with UAH on the Ring grant, and that was through Nancy, so she's also still working on that. And then we host the regional collegiate cyber defense competition, and that's, again, Dr. Brown does that part. So nice for him to manage that and not burden me with it. And then my additional interests are finish my dissertation. That would be fantastic. I would love to do that. And my idea that it would be phenomenal if anybody has this idea, already had the idea and has thought it through quite a bit. I'm getting approached by my former students who have now finished their master's degrees, and they want to come and teach for us. But I don't feel that they have enough experience to manage what I consider like managing the project of running a class and creating assignments and grading and everything. You know, I would want to make sure that they're very consistent and fair. So I'd like to create a faculty teaching academy. I think it's a very great idea for us to consider that we don't have enough faculty in cybersecurity, and how do we get more, and how do we get that diversity through a teaching academy. It's not very easy for me to bring this up at my college because I guess our sister college has something, so I get squashed really quickly. And then I'd like to provide project support to others. That's really where I'm at right now, not trying to take on more at Coastline specifically. And then my dissertation will be about privacy practices for higher education. I do have a couple presentations on that, so if there's anything you want me to share, I'd be happy to do that at some point. Getting into our partnerships and how Coastline works together within our community. There are 9 Orange County colleges. This isn't the 9 Orange County colleges, but there are 9 in the area, and many of us are teaching cybersecurity. And it seems like when you have a college that's just 4 miles away, that it would be quite a competition between the colleges, but it isn't because of traffic. 4 miles is about 30 to 45 minutes drive in the evening. So we've been a CAE since 2014. And as I mentioned, we started our CyberPatriot Program. And what I did is I worked together with Cypress and Irvine Valley College at the time, and quite a bit with Long Beach as well, to become a center of excellence under CyberPatriot. And then you can see a couple of them became CAEs after that. And we still meet monthly on a regular basis after all these years. And we just do kind of like what you're talking about here, get to know each other, have open conversations, talk about what we're working on and how that's going, and if we need help from each other. So that's what we've been doing for since 2016, 17. And then just to share what Coastline needs, where the gaps are. We have a lot of degree options and not enough full-time faculty to work on it. I really want us to be leaders within the college. I'm going to be on Academic Senate next year as the president-elect. And I just really want us to have a voice in the college, because the transfer types of degrees get so much more, I guess, so many more full-time faculty, and then they have the opportunity for leadership. So before the pandemic, we had 2 openings. I'm hoping that those will come back very soon. If you're thinking about ever working at Coastline, you do have to live in California, sorry, but I know it's a terrible place to live, right? But if you're ever thinking about it, please feel free to let me know your questions, thoughts, interests in it. I really want somebody who wants to work on outreach, not simply teach some classes. And then the really heartfelt thanks from me is without all of you, I couldn't do what I'm doing. I don't have all these ideas by myself. I met many people at like the CAE executive leadership right away in that very first year. And I was very fortunate that Nancy introduced me to all of you. And that really has helped. And I appreciate everything that you all do and that you share with me. Happy to share back. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Tobi. That's wonderful. I don't know how you do it. You and Yair seem to have all the energy, as Ann mentioned, to get all this stuff done. So Yair just wants to make a comment here, and then we'll ask for questions. So if you would like to either type them in, or when he's done, just unmute, join us in the conversation for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, Tobi, wonderful talk and wonderful presentation. I just want to make one note, because I've been getting a couple of private notes, and I want to reiterate that this is not the platform that we should use for the CAE application process. If you are interested in questions related to the application process or anything related to application reviews, etc., this should go through the caecommunity.org and go through Corinne's at Whatcom and through the channels that are appropriate for that. What we're using this platform more is to get to know each other in the community and get to know our needs or what we like, exactly like Tobi has done a wonderful chat. With that, go ahead.
Any questions for Tobi? Blair, go ahead.
Tobi, do you have a AS in computer science? Where does that? No.
We have a rule in our region, and I don't know if this is a thing across the country, but in California, because there are so many colleges, you can't overstep the boundaries of another college within your region. And since our sister college has computer science, they bar us from having it.
Any other questions, comments, or observations?
So I think Keith has his hand raised.
Thanks. Sorry, I can't get to everybody. Go ahead, Keith. Thanks, Toby.
Hi, Tobi, I have a question for you about the funding for the CompTIA exams.
Mhm.
So you indicated that you're getting those funded through Perkins grants, and
Correct.
you do about, it sounded like you do about 6 per semester or something like that.
We do quite a significant number. We spent about $50,000 on the vouchers last semester.
Wow. Okay, I lost the disconnect there. I was like, how many are they really doing? Because it sounded like you had a substantial amount of money allocated for that.
Right.
So, okay, has that been a recent change? Maybe you don't know the answer to this question, but I've been trying to find a way to fund CompTIA exams for years. And when you said you got it funded through Perkins, I was really surprised by that.
Me too, because we were told for years that we weren't allowed to do it, and then we are. So you can't base it on grades, and you have to give it to every student who's still enrolled in the class, even if they have an F at the end of the term. And we also paid faculty to update their classes to include all of the information about CompTIA. We purchased CyberVista as a prep tool. So that was a separate purchase of $13,000, I want to say. And that's really the structure of how we did it, is just kind of trying to predict the enrollment for the class. And then I send out a survey to ask who wants to take the exam, and then they can either take the final or the CompTIA exam, not both.
Okay. So
and that's our structure, but that's not a Perkins structure.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I don't want to like take up too much, but I would love to talk to you more about how you're handling that. I will. Thank you.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. Nina, hi. Good to see you again.
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm actually addressing the question that the other person had about how to get it paid for. So we actually just got ours approved through our board of directors, and the discounted CompTIA vouchers for A+, Net+, and Security Plus are now actually attached to the course fees, so that financial aid and veterans administrations and workforce development will pay for it. And what we have decided to do is everybody has, if you want to pass the class, you have to take the exam. You don't have to pass the exam, and your final grade in the class is not dependent on whether or not you pass the exam, but everybody has to at least take the exam. Because everybody will put it off and say, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, and then they never get around to doing it. And so we're restructuring our classes so that the continual classroom test prep is built in, and that they'll have a certain period of time. And I'm limiting it to like 2 or 3 months after the end of class, and that's it. But they have to take the exam to pass the class. I'm still working out all the details, but that's what we just got that approved just about a month ago.
Yeah, give them an incomplete if they don't take the exam before the end of the course, and they have the incomplete until they take the exam.
Right. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I hadn't actually worked through all of it yet.
I think either Sid has a question or he wants his time to present.
Oh, I do. I don't have a question or an answer, which is pretty difficult. But I did want to say how we are doing it differently at Towson, since everybody has a different way to fund CompTIA. Towson is a 4-year institution, and we have differentiated tuition for our programs, our computing programs, and we take a chunk of that differentiated tuition, which of course that can be paid through scholarships, grants, what have you. We take a chunk of that differentiated tuition that ends up in the department and buy vouchers for students. They do not have to they just have to be registered for the course. And we let them take 6 months after they finish the course to ask for a discounted voucher if they want to.
Thanks.
So our vouchers are completely free to the students, and so it's a very different. Yeah, it would be fun to have like a whole meeting based on Perkins and Comptia.
we want to. We are ready to go completely free. We are just not seeing that demand yet in the students. I think it's probably because we have done a poor job advertising.
They just don't want to do it.
Yeah, Toby, you mentioned a good point. That the whole this whole thing, we really did want to get these sort of issues. So maybe there is a opportunity for a sub meeting to talk about this and talk about Perkins and Comptia funding, because I know it's something that I know at our university is a big deal too. So let's write that down, Yair, and we'll work on that one.
Yeah, because I can ask for more money. I just don't have more ideas or more time to do more things. So if other people give me ideas, I can, you know, stagger them out through the years and do all kinds of different activities.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Toby. We really appreciate it. What a great way to start the discussion. If it's okay, I'm going to transition over to Sid and his presentation. So Sid, feel free to share your screen.
Sure, absolutely. And I do want to say that Blair is here as well. She is actually the principal for our CD certification and for CO. I am also, so Blair, did you disappear? No, there you are.
I'm basically, I'm here to keep him in line.
Yes, you are. I always like to begin some of my presentations by saying that I do pretend to be Blair's boss. Hi, I'm Kaza. I'm the chair of the Computer Information Sciences Department at Towson. And I did, before we start, Yair, I had to look it up for a little bit, but I came up with the emoji representation of your name. So we can have a little bit of a way to remember. Thank you for inviting us. First of all, thank you for joining this meeting in July. It's nice to see so many people. Let me share my screen. Blair, do you want to start off? We haven't rehearsed this or anything, but here we are.
Sure. We're from Towson University, and we have the CAEs cyber defense. Can you hear? Everybody can hear? I saw somebody talk. Okay. We have a CAE in cyber defense, and we have a CAE in cyber operations. I will say that we benefit from being very close to NSA, and a lot of our students, you know, are very interested in doing that. So it makes the cyber operations particularly desirable. Go ahead.
And we are, we'll give you some context on the department as well. We've been CAE CD since 2002, obviously renewed a couple of times since then, and CAE CO since 2013. And renewed once since then, right? So we are still CAE CO.
And we also have the 8-bed accreditation, which can't remember if that's on the next slide or not.
That's somewhere in the slides, yes.
Okay.
And our program of study, for context, is more traditional. It is a BS in computer science with a track in cyber operations, and it used to be called computer security for the longest time. We changed it to cyber operations as we started transitioning to our cyber operations designation. It is interesting that it is the same program, in fact, that is designated as cyber defense and as cyber operations at Towson. The program has about 180 students. It is our undergraduate program. The BS and CS has more students. We'll talk a little bit about that. Other programs of study that we offer, Blair just went through, we are going through the renewal of our CAE CD designation. There are 6 other cyber-focused degrees, 1 undergraduate and 5 graduate level at Towson. And only one of them, though, is the validated program of study. So we'll talk a little bit about that. At Towson, we do a lot of things in cyber. We are a big shop in computing in general, but certainly fairly big in cyber as well. We do a lot of work on curricular resources. We do a lot of work in cyber pedagogy. We do a lot of research in Internet of Things, in malware analysis, in secure coding, and election security, to name a few. And certainly a lot of data science focused on cyber as well, if we had to list a few big things that Towson does. We wanted to give you a little bit of context on where our program of study lies. So we are in a fairly big department. We have 3 undergraduate majors and 3 graduate majors, computer science, information systems, and information technology, and 3 graduate programs, MS in computer science, applied information technology, and a doctoral program in information technology. We do suffer from the same thing, Tobi, that you suffer from in Maryland as well. Within a geographical area, certain universities are not allowed to overlap programs. So our doctoral program, for instance, is called information technology, though it's really very computer science focused and a lot cyber focused, but we cannot call it that because there's other programs in the area that are called that. We are about 2,200 students in the department, about 1,800 of them being undergraduate students and about 400 being graduate. We are about 50 now, 48 full-time faculty, and we have about 50 plus adjunct faculty teaching as well in the department. So we offer a lot of courses, about 270 or so a semester. And our cyber programs lie in computer science, in information technology, and in all of our graduate programs. So the information systems does not have a direct cyber program in it. And in addition to the NSA designations that we mentioned already, we are ABET accredited as well, computer science, and the new ABET accreditation in cybersecurity for 2 years. You know, as one thing we are really proud of at Towson is the faculty we have in cyber. So we have about 50 full-time faculty, about 17 plus of them operate in cyber. And we certainly have a lot of adjunct faculty operating in cyber as well. And thanks to these faculty, we do a lot of very interesting things in cyber, and certainly a lot of things I don't pretend to understand, right? Because there's plenty happening in cyber in the department, which is awesome. But we also write a lot of grants. We encourage grants at Towson, and certainly cyber is a good area to be in right now with respect to grants. Blair, do you want to talk about this? What may be your next program of study? Because if you answer that question, then you'll have to.
I know, I'm very hesitant to answer that question. I think that, I'm not sure that, well, we've talked about doing it in our graduate program, our master's program. The other thing that we have talked about doing is maybe doing some of the specialties. So these are things that, you know, we probably would be our next move, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, you know, so.
A lot of work, right? I mean, that's why, so we kind of ended with this idea of an open question, right? I mean, even while Blair was applying this year, we were, you know, it was very easy to click that button, add another program of study, right, to the application. But it's obviously not just that. And second, what more does it progressively bring to both the students and to the institution? And I'm sure, you know, it's a different point to discuss that, but we weren't sure if we wanted to go that direction and add another program of study and what that would bring us exactly. I think the CAE designation brings us a lot already. And I have a feeling we are able to then get these students and introduce them to the other cyber programs, which hopefully maintain the same level of rigor. Right, and once they're in the door, right? So designating one more may not have helped us too much, but it's something to think about, and we certainly can discuss that at the end of this presentation. Just wanted to, I don't see the BS, the BSMS slide. I think it's kind of interesting. The reason I put this, Blair, at the last minute was, you know, it is. it's an interesting world we are living in right now, right? Where cyber is so in our face. I mean, it's been in our faces, this group's faces for a long time. But as you just look back the past few months, it's so in our face with the rest of the country as well. And so it's kind of interesting where this is spring 21 numbers. So as new as it gets, I guess. 159 students in our designated program of study, whereas there's another 590 who are general computer science, right? Not in in software engineering, not in others. It's kind of interesting because what is stopping these students from coming into cyber? We think we have an idea, but we certainly have a lot more that we can spread ourselves, right? We can certainly have more students in cyber because they're already in our classes. So again, an interesting question on why these limits come in and what stops people from coming into cyber. And we think, at least in our computer science program, it's primarily the math, right? And so then not to ask hard questions, but I guess maybe this is the forum to think about these things, right? Where is math required for all of CAE cyber defense programs of studies? And if it doesn't, then maybe we would break that barrier a little bit in the.
I think it's worth mentioning that of the 3 undergraduate programs we have, the students start off in the same course sequence. And then, so CS and IS both take a CS1 and CS2 and a CS0, and IT takes a CS1. So, a lot of students come in thinking they're going to be in the cyber program or the CS program, and, may find out that they switch majors along the way.
Correct.
A little that way.
Yeah, correct. And then there's these other programs where, we have several students in our graduate programs that are doing information assurance, forensics, other things. And I bring back the same question. These are not designated programs, and whether designation would change something for us. What are our research projects and research interests? So this is a little bit of a snapshot, some representative projects from the entire department. So we do a lot of work you see on the left. We do a lot of work on smart grids, on IoT, a lot of research funded by primarily DoD agencies in our region. We do a lot of work also in the data science side of cyber. So a lot of vulnerability analysis, code analysis, malware analysis that is being done using data science techniques. Recently, as in the last 2 years, there's been a lot of work on election security. So there's this group working on, and they're doing pretty well, training election officers all over Maryland. And I think they've just crossed state boundaries on thinking about what could be the cyber issues that could affect elections. But this is more focused on training than on research. And of course, something that Blair and I work on with several of you on this call, several collaborators on this call too, so you know who you are. We work on Clark curriculum library. We work on something known as the CAE resource directory that we are still attempting to define even better as we figure out what the community needs. But certainly where we started working together as something known as the Security Injections Project that we started about 12, 14 years ago, which was focused on secure coding, primarily in early computer science classes. And that project has come a long way. It is used by a lot of faculty, but we do a lot of research there as well. So in the bottom, you see, we do a lot of pedagogy research. And here, for instance, one of our students is working on understanding how to write learning modules and understanding what students are reading and what they're fixating on. So this is what you see here is a sentence from our learning module, and the dots are student eye gaze and how long they spent on certain areas in the module, essentially trying to understand the cognitive overload that they are going through as they are looking at learning modules. So pretty interesting stuff, keeps us
And a lot of student involvement, both undergraduate and graduate, for across all these projects, either in a paid capacity or in a project-based. So that's the good news for us.
Independent studies, right? I mean, we'll talk a little bit about. Let me fast forward just a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about, we have scholarships. We have the DoD CYSP. We also have the NSF Cyber Corps. Certainly an open question there, I think, is how is the CYSP and Cyber Corps interacting at your institutions? Because we certainly find, at least in our institution, it's not a healthy interaction. So we are having fun with that. But we are, of course, very thankful to have these scholarship opportunities for our students. Boy, wish I was a student with the kind of scholarships that these students get. But as part of these scholarships, as you know, and certainly as part of CAE designation application processes as well, we want involvement with the community. So going back to what Blair said, we have a lot of students working on these because they get to do these independent projects, both with the community and otherwise, that go beyond the curriculum. One of the other things we do a lot is support our faculty. You certainly see us in various places. All of us travel a lot, and this group certainly we see quite often. But we want all of our faculty to be out there, right? So this is not as updated as I would want it to be. Actually, I do have 2020 numbers on the number of trips we supported. They were 0. So I do have good, I do have latest numbers on that issue. But this kind of shocked me a little bit. But that's if you think about 45 faculty and 84 trips in 2016-17, that tells you that each faculty member seems to be going to these very nice places. So which is good, which is kind of, I think, to me as the chair at least, this makes me feel good.
Although we probably went to 40 of them, but go ahead.
I had to eliminate.
I knew people were thinking that.
yeah. I had to eliminate you, Blair, because you were kind of an outlier. Then there was only Blair on that screen, so yes. But I think that it's an awesome thing. What I also like that really gives me the kicks at Towson, certainly Blair as well, is these are our research areas ranked by papers published by people. And what you see here is, this super thing, right? Cybersecurity, as we know, this was not intentional, but cybersecurity, as we know, cuts across a lot of areas. And you see that we have a lot going on in areas that we think lend themselves to cyber quite a bit. So I think that's kind of cool because we have a lot of interdisciplinary happening at Towson. So we do have a bunch of grants, certainly that we have already talked about. We are also lucky enough to be in the regional hub with Capital and Jake at MVCC, which is awesome. And we certainly hope for more curriculum-focused grants working with all of you. And I know there's more coming. A shout out to everybody listed here and everybody that we forgot by pure accident, who we are lucky enough to work with. We work with a lot of you in community colleges and in 4-year institutions. So thank you. Certainly Clark, Card, and all of our efforts at Towson are helped along by this community. So we are very thankful, and we hope we are going to work quite a bit with you. What does Towson need, right? We think we always need help in non-technical and interdisciplinary cyber topics, law, privacy, to mention a few. Oh, Blair, this is where I had said a cyber course for all. Yeah, and this idea that the cyber course for all is really meant for all. Right? It's meant for all majors, it's meant for all disciplines, it's meant for all our students. It's meant for every student who graduates out of a university or a community college knowing a little about cyber. And of course, the question is, what do they need to know? And defining that, we certainly need help with. Currently, a cyber course is required for all of our computing majors, and we are moving very quickly towards requiring a cyber course for all, not requiring a cyber, let me tone that down. If I was king of the world, then we would require a cyber course for all students graduating out of Towson, but we are moving very quickly towards making it into the Gen Ed
Right.
top.
I think that's really important. That is a change that we added to our computer science program because we still have so many that are not in the track. And we're working very hard to make that part of the course so we can get, first of all, that'll help with introducing students to cyber. And plus, as we all know, cyber is not just a tech problem. And we've worked pretty hard to take an effort that some of you all were involved with where we did an introduction to cybersecurity course and built off that. So we have used that syllabus that was done at a workshop in California with several of the people that are on this call. And we have, built out materials in that. So it's been really effective. And I just did a version of it in the graduate class, actually, using the cyber kill chain. So really, it really has, I think you have a lot of power in that class to introduce things that are current and to get students really thinking about, and the media is doing an excellent, the cyber events are doing an excellent job of taking care of that for us, so.
That's true. Hey, I just saw Gretchen's message, Blair, that she said wrap up please several minutes ago. So
oh, okay.
That was 7 minutes ago.
Yeah, let's wrap up.
Sorry.
So thank you again for the chance to talk here, and we'll send these slides out.
Thank you. Yes, Sid, that you brought that up. We do want to try and post all those. We're going to be getting with the CAE community to see where we can have the repository of all the slides. As Yair mentioned, we are also going to be posting it on YouTube, the CAE YouTube channel. So if I had a couple of people write to me this morning and said, oh, I have a staff meeting I can't get out of. I said, well, don't worry, we're going to get it up on YouTube. You can watch it and reach out to folks. So please make sure when you send your slides, Sid and Tobi, make sure your contact information's in there because we want to make sure everybody can get in touch with you on this initiative. And we really appreciate, I think you guys have hit on some of the things that all of us really talk about, that cyber for all, getting the teaching academy. I think that's things that's close and near to dear to a lot of people's hearts. So I appreciate you guys starting our session with those really important issues that maybe we can break off into subgroups to talk about. So I'm going to hand it back to the leadership, to Anne and to Yair, but thank you both very, very much for your participation in getting us started today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. Maybe Gretchen, you want to still back the share screen and bring your slide regarding the next upcoming event. So those of you, and maybe update everyone about the duration. So the same Zoom registration that you've done for this event will continue, and we'll be using the same link. Obviously, this is hosted on my Nova Southeastern University Zoom. So thank you to my dean and my department chair to allow me to do that. With that, Gretchen, go ahead. Unmute.
Sorry, I was trying to find it. Once I'm in presentation mode, it disappears. Yeah, so next month we've got Boston University, and we have University of Memphis. I believe Dr. Pinson's on today, Metropolitan Community College, and Johns Hopkins University. So again, we're going to try and stay with the format of everybody presents for 10 minutes. We're kind of playing with, do we do the 5-minute discussion afterwards or do it all at the end? But obviously we'll feel our way through that. So we appreciate you being flexible as we find the best way to do that. But these will be the folks that we'll have on next month. They already have rogered up. They're ready to go. And if you do want to still sign up, or of other schools that are interested that maybe didn't get the registration that Yair sent out, by all means, please have them sign up. And if they don't want to present, that's okay too. It's an option. But we would love to have them come learn and hear from all of these great experienced organizations that are a part of our community. Over to you, Yair.
Unmute, I need that. And so just to remind everyone to go to our community, CAE community. And if you click under events, this should kick in the calendar option. And we appear on this. And so you can click on that and get the information. If you would like to share this information, I'm going to put that link in the chat area. So you're more than welcome to share this with colleagues or anyone else in our CAE community. And also those that are aspiring to be CAE are invited, especially those in the candidate program. We are, so those of you who are mentors for CAEs, upcoming CAEs, feel free to invite those individuals to participate. This is something that we would like them to get involved with the community. We know that it's part of the requirements of the CAE now. So they are invited to know our challenges and what we're discussing with. I think this has been a great session. Thank you so much for the presenters. Tobi and Sid and Blair, you're wonderful, beyond wonderful. And of course, thanks to Gretchen and Sandra for coordinating this. If anyone is interested in presenting, please, so the format, we'll try to make it maybe more scheduled. And if you have any questions for the presenters, feel free to reach out to them. I'm sure, there are plenty of avenues to communicate further. That's the whole idea, really, is to get people to connect, right? This is what we're trying to do here. So please feel free to connect. With that said, we're going to wrap it up here. And the storm Elsa just arrived to Baltimore. And hopefully the electricity will continue, but we're doing good so far. So take care, everyone. Good to see familiar faces, but also good to see new faces as well. So take care.
Are you to blame for bringing the storm with you?
Stay safe. Well, it's not a hurricane, so I cannot claim that this is a Florida-made storm.
Good point, good point.
And it followed you, didn't it?
Absolutely. Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording. So take care, everyone, and we're gonna be sharing this in the YouTube channel for the CAE community.
Great presentation.